Everybody, welcome back. We are a bit overrunning in time, so we try to adapt the program a little bit, and so we will be finished in 5 for everybody who wants to go back. We will be finishing in 5. I would like to announce the next speaker. There is this Siri Hunnes-Blakstad. She's from Telenor, and she's going to talk about workplace management in Telenor, and she would like the people to look for continuous improvement in existing workplaces. I give you Siri Hunnes-Blakstad.
Thank you so much. Is this on? Yeah, thanks. Typical me, I'm always lucky, first one after lunch. So now all your blood is in your stomach instead of your brain, which is good. I might start throwing things at you if you fall asleep. My main message to you today will be about, I would like you, at least I certainly do, to start to look at workplace innovations as something that is going on continuously. When we meet in conferences like this, we always look at projects. It's a nice project, they're new and glossy and sexy layouts and furniture. But what happens when we leave and all these newly convinced witnesses tell us that it's working so, we have changed the way we work, everything is now completely new. So what happens in 5 years and 10 years from that? How do you keep up the pressure? How do you stop falling into the sadness of the gray days or go back to what you used to be? So that is my main point, that we should, when we work with workplaces, we should always try to also look for the improvements in use, not only as a project. It's so easy to succeed with a project, but it's so hard to succeed in the long run. I'll just give you a glimpse of what kind of setting I work in. I work in a corporate international organization, Telenor, and everything we do is on an extremely competitive market. And in most markets, we compete on cost. And real estate is one obvious candidate for cutting costs, always. At the same time, we see that the Telenor way of work, we actually call it Telenor way, is very much linked to our workplaces. And I will explain more about that later. But I think we're part of a kind of Scandinavian leadership culture, organizational culture, where people expect to be heard and seen, and managers are actually more on stage. Managers are visible. We're not that fond of hierarchies, you'll figure out. It's kind of the strange people who moved to the north when the ice went back. You know, it's people who like to be independent. And this way of working, this Telenor way, we actually today see as part of our DNA. And when we move into the world, different parts of the world, we try to take with us that organizational culture into the local national culture. And one of our slogans for the products we sell is built around people. So we also try in the workplaces to focus on people. This is just to give you a glimpse of where we are today, coming from the north, actually from a state-owned operation, a monopoly in Norway. Started out in 1855, building out the telegraph, following by telephones and telex, and finally mobile and broadcast services. We are now, mid-90s, we were deregulated on the market and started to work internationally. And part of that was that we also own 40% of VimpelCom, which is a huge telecom company. This is only the Telenor figure, but it still is part of a huge internationalization. And what you see is that we are present in the Eastern Europe, or what we actually call Central Eastern Europe, which is the correct way of saying it today, and Asia. And these markets, they are so much bigger than what we have in Europe. Yeah. So Why is the workplace relevant in this story about development of the company? For Telenor, when we were deregulated, and all these different services, they were in different companies. In 46 different addresses in Oslo. And they soon saw that we had to also be co-located in one place, and they decided to use the construction of a new headquarters as one of the main engines in changing the organizational culture, and going from being this, which was, was really not a very inventive culture, and going into the future. It started off much as a real estate project, but because it was the same time as this huge organizational development, they soon saw the opportunity to do more. And it was actually done pretty much by the book. You had several pilots that were evaluated. One worked in 3 different projects, 3 teams. We worked in the development of the physical solution, the virtual solutions, and the social aspects. All users were trained, the management were trained, top management was the champion, and so on. And what we implemented then 10 years ago, or actually 12, because some of the pilots were also the same, was an activity-based workplace, dynamic use. We have overbooking. We encourage people to work from different locations, anywhere. We are not allowed to say any time in Norway, but we are allowed to say anywhere. And we have a clean desk policy for all our employees. And the Fornebu building, the first one, the one I showed you, it's all 6,000 work desks, so it's quite a big scale. Each people belong to one work zone, because we believe it's important that you belong in a community of your colleagues. So when you come to the building, you just don't choose from the 6,000 work desks, you actually choose within your work zone. It's a lot of focus on services, where do you meet, eat together, things like that. This was in 2001, and I think we were one of the early adopters. And to this day, well, it's not completely true, because this changed 2 weeks ago, but to this day, we have been the only Norwegian company that has implemented new ways of working in this way, in this scale. Then DNB moved into their bank building 2 weeks ago, so we'll see. Now we have company. So, to communicate that this is a way of working, not only a building, we built these slogans. And you see this is much a similar story to other projects that you heard about, but this is 10 years ago. So we said work is a state of being and not a place. It was actually developed in the project, so I'm sure we didn't copy it from anyone, but I've heard it several places afterwards. And we say that it's not about me and my space and my knowledge, it's about our knowledge, our space. Space is assigned according to what you do, not your rank. And you can see this is the same slogans that we hear today as well. So after Fornebu implementation, we started to develop this into new projects, new parts of the world, followed Telenor where we started. The workplace model followed. So it's been implemented in Montenegro, Hungary, Pakistan, Bangladesh, for Grameen phone. Yeah, Sweden, actually. And several places around the world where we develop new real estate or new projects, we always take the same model. It is locally adapted, but it's more or less the same way of thinking, and it's always connected to the same way of working, which is very important for us. And this is one of my favorite quotes, actually. This happens all the time. Yeah. So. It's a badge. You take. You watch it for me. We know each other. And so this is I think extremely important. And I don't know how many of you actually make money out of selling equipment, solutions, furniture, hours to people who want to change their workplace, but I guess quite a few. And for us who is involved in that part of the life cycle of a building, we always look at the building as a product that we deliver to our clients. But actually, it's when we leave the project, it's actually when it starts. And I think this is so important to remember. So what have we done? What happened when all these consultants left Telenor? We see that the technology has changed a lot during those years. We had actually wireless, we had follow me print, we had a lot of very advanced technological solutions for that time. But this has been going on faster and faster. So after that, we have been involved in making a corporate social network virtual. We use video to a large extent, actually. We use link and telepresence. The ways we work with technology has changed a lot, and it actually makes a difference also for the way we build our workplaces, even though they were quite advanced 10 years ago. And this is kind of important for me, because I come also from a facility management, I teach in facility management, and it's so challenging for the people who run and operate this building and actually adapt to the spatial needs and the changes in the organization to keep it up to date. You don't know how many good solutions I've seen being destroyed by eager facility managers or space managers, and the users say, yeah, just move this and may have more of those. And they do it, here to help. And the concept is completely ruined. So what we have seen now after all these years, that we actually had to go back. We had to draw all the layouts all again and said, this is the main principle, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this, and actually keep on pushing the concept. You have to work with the managers. And this is the very, very difficult part for us. I'm employed by real estate. And you know how much influence that gives you in a corporation that is in telecom and is worrying about the big losses in India. And I say, oh, hey, I'm for real estate. I think we should work with our workplaces a little bit more. It's a big impact. And the managers we trained 10 years ago, they are actually left, or new ones are coming, and we're not on top of their agenda anymore. So we have to keep on showing them that this is relevant for the way we work. And this, you can't just do that once and then leave it. You have to keep on doing it all the time. I think this flexible concept that we have used is demanding. It is a quite high maintenance way of working, actually, because it demands that you have to keep on reminding people about what is the philosophy, how do we do it. For some units, it works perfectly. It's great. They love it, and they sell it to the others. For other units, it's very difficult. So it's much more about the organization, the change, the management, than it's actually about the walls. And that shows in the long run. Yeah. So there are three main, we have now focused. We've learned, we've burned our fingers. It works quite well, but we also now know much more than we used to do. And we have chosen to focus on three aspects to continue to improve. One of them is actually management. I know that you can't really see this because this is a printout from a television from CNN. They made this 10 global women on the rise, and they had a portrait of Norway's most powerful woman. She's one of our top in our top management team. And one of the things that they made a huge part of the program, I do too much of this. It's actually that she's now sitting there, you can see her, with her team. And that was a lot about in the program. It was, wow, how can you actually work like this? How can you are the most powerful woman in Norway. How can you sit like this? This is the same desk that I use, actually. Not her desk, but it's a similar type. And the top manager of all, the top executive of all Telenor, is sitting at a similar desk. And when we talk to the Pakistani architects for our new head office in Pakistan, they say, where is the CEO office in your program, in your brief? There's no CEO office. And we say, we don't want the CEO office. We want him to sit, him or her, to sit in a normal work zone. And they just couldn't accept it. All 7 teams still handed in CEO floors and CEO offices because they didn't believe us. Yeah? Okay. The next thing to do with management is that you have to communicate not about desks or workplaces, but you have to communicate in what they are actually interested in. And they are interested in the way we work and our company values. So one of the things that we actually do, and we have to sell this and resell it to managers all the time, is that we link everything we do to the core values of Telenor. You will see that one of these is keep promises and leaders endorse our workplace concept and walk the talk. So if you can make them sign on that, you're halfway there. The other main thing we focus on is corporate governance. And there was a question earlier today about working together in HR, ICT, and real estate. And to be honest, that is a very challenging task in a corporation like this. We report in different parts of the silo. It's a lot to do with power and communication, politics. And what we have seen is that if we want still to implement it as an integrated concept, we want ICT, space, and HR to talk together, we actually need to lift it above our differences and link it to our corporate governance structure. And that is also a political task, I can tell you. But it is actually the way that we see that we can succeed in bringing this forward. And to keep it on the agenda of the managers. So what do we do? We have developed what we call a soft governance. It is a model. It can be adopted, but it's still, this is the way we do it. We are sure to align it with the corporate strategy. Our corporate strategy is now saying that we should industrialize, standardize. We also do so in workplaces. We have developed a very clear policy, and we provide everyone, everywhere, with a standardized set of tools and processes to implement it. Information is very important, so we put on the, still it's just a web page, internal web, but we need to have somewhere for everyone to find the same information. And then the third thing is to actually develop a unit that can work within the company to plan workplaces, to continue to develop the strategy, to go to Pakistan and help the Telenor Pakistan, they haven't done it before. So we go there, help them. We use local designers, but still we need someone who knows about this. And most facility managers, I have to tell you, they don't know enough about workplaces to do this. So we have kind of developed a special team, small team still, but we are extremely busy. Is to say we're part of the real estate, it's part of facility management way of working, but we are specialists in workplace management, and we are actually here to service the different parts of the organization when they need to do something. Yeah, and we have also developed a toolbox with we calculate occupancy data, we do benchmarks, we do questionnaires, we do workshops with users, briefs. The main concept, we don't do the design usually, but we do the concepts. So we have developed a whole standardized set of tools. I would like to finish with this picture. It's actually from the building. It is from the 10-year-old building at Fornebu. We have had these huge atrias, and they were never used. Do you have this communal area, big spacious areas that is never used? Lots of us have. And what we did was to say that this is a waste of space. We really need to energize it. We took what we've learned from our evaluations, what do people actually need. So we have now developed them all, one by one of the atrias into places to meet, to interact in between departments. This is not rocket science, but it shows that you have to keep on doing it. This is half-a-year-old project in the 10-year-old building. So you have to keep on developing it, keep on using it, but still you have to standardize and you do it according to corporate ways of thinking. And what we hope is that this is, of course, good for business, it's good for Telenor, but it's also good for the people who actually use it. We see that people appreciate to have breakout areas where they don't sit at work desks all the time. So I would like to end and hope that you got at least a small glimpse of what we are doing to try to keep on developing our concepts and implementing it in new markets all the time. And I'm sure we'll learn more in the next 10 years.
Okay, that was Siri Hunnes-Blakstad. We have unfortunately no time for questions, so you kindly requested to save your questions for the next break and then go up to Siri and ask her the question. Thank you very much. Thank you.